Hey, good morning. I'm allowing some folks to jump in the room. Good morning, Janet, and good morning, Palani. How are you? Good morning and Happy New Year. Happy New Year. I've got us live on Facebook, so we should be good there. And I'm the only one at the office right now because the office is on a holiday today. I hope you're enjoying your extra day for Happy New Year. And we are going to be talking about the organizational model today. We're on pages 158, which technically 159, and we're going to talk about that today. And then once we're done with that, we finished with the Millionaire Real Estate Agent's first dive into models, and we call it the elbow, right? The economic lead gen budget and organizational model. And after we do this, then the book goes into what does it look like for a millionaire real estate agent business in these four models. There are some extra things and some things that you would deal with when your business grows to that level that you want to consider, because remember, we're building a 20-lane highway. So don't like pop off after this and go, well, I don't care about that right now. That's not where I'm at in life, because you want to know it. And there's some things that may apply to you. So stick with me because we'll go through those pretty quickly. And I love the organizational model because I get to talk to a lot of you guys about the very first piece of that. When do I hire an assistant? Oh, I want a buyer's agent. I want to be a team and those kinds of things. So I've written down at the top of my book, because when I went through business by the book, this was a nugget I wrote at the top. And if you think about your organization, every one of you, Clarice and Adrian have joined us, have an organization because you have a business. So anyone that touches your business is your organization. That's a lot of people, right? Because they're not necessarily on a payroll with you, but a lot of people touch your organization, right? Can you think of a few?
Your lender, your inspector, your title company,
your family.
Your family does touch your organization. Tell me a little bit more about that, Adrian. What made you say that?
Well, I mean, your family is the most, well, for me, my family is, my best friends, and it's people I spend a lot of time with. So to have them come along and be encouraging, you have to have, and something I've read in here was, you must surround yourself with talent, loyal, strong people who want to work, like to work, and are productive. So even if they're not in our business, they need to understand our business and be encouraging for what we need to do and want us to be better.
Absolutely. I love that. Every bit of that. I think that your environment really sets up your business, and your environment includes all of those folks that touch what you're doing, and them understanding what it is that you're trying to accomplish and how your business works. I love every bit of that. So on the organizational model, this book that I have is the leadership edition, and it's really just got some little extra stuff with some tabs, right? It's the same book. However, it's got a sheet that says, here's why you would want to dig into this section, the organizational model. If you want to become more efficient, if you have employee issues, and some of you may have some employees in your business that are on this call or on this Zoom or out watching us Facebook Live, getting organized, I know I need that, but growing your business to the next level, and office support and management. So those are some things that if those are things touching your business right now, or maybe those are gaps for you, this is a great chapter to dig into and study. So when you've done all you can do, and you've gone as far as you can go, and you are getting all the results you can get by yourself, then you can't go any further. That's when you look for people. That's when you look for someone to be in your world. So that might look differently for everyone on this Zoom, in terms of how much you can do and as far as you can go. And I can tell you, I was in a class previously that was really, really good. And it broke down kind of an overview of maybe a pinpoint or something to shoot for. And I have it written right here on my super fancy little thing I made, right? So typically an agent can do 0 to 36 units They'll be working 40 plus hours a week by themselves. They can handle business. They've got systems in place. And that's usually kind of a parameter. Now, some of you are like, going, what? I handle 50 units by myself, or man, I'm handling 15 and I can't deal with this. So this is just kind of a guide of what you should shoot for. Maybe if you're doing less than 36 and you're feeling chaotic or stressed, you look at your systems and models, and it may be that you're operating a little bit entrepreneurial. The level 2, when you actually add someone, is 37 to 60 units, and that is an administrative assistant. So just a little picture of that. And you know, guys, one thing about Keller Williams courses, the way they're designed is Ignite. If you are making 16 transactions, until you hit 16 transactions, you need to repeat Ignite over and over until you kick to 17. Ignite sets you up for what you need to do every day to get to 16 units. So I don't know if you knew that or not. And there's another class that's called 36-12-3, and that is having 36 units, which is what we just talked about, in 12 months by doing 3 hours of lead gen a day. So there's a strategy on the number of units and the classes that you go through. So on page 58, it talks about where you look for that. I noticed that it said, you know, one thing we've always heard, if you're not a maid, if you don't have a maid, you're a maid. Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you want to hire someone so you can do things that you enjoy in your business more. So a lot of us don't enjoy the paperwork part of that, or there's some administrative tasks that if you could take that off your plate, you would have so much more fun in your life because you love people and you love helping them and serving them and getting them where they need to go. So that is a lot of the reasons why you hire people in your personal life. You don't want to, if you didn't have to do the yard work, then you could spend more time doing something more fun that you enjoy, and you will go, aha, I can pay somebody to do that.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing in your business. So did you guys have any in that, on that page 158, anything that stuck out to you on that you're kind of dealing with now in your business and talking about where you are right now and that organizational model?
I know the idea of the housekeeper. A number of years ago, when I was still living in Wisconsin, I did get a housekeeper, and I told my coach, and she said, "Oh, how many more hours of lead gen does that give you?" And I said, "None, because I'm not getting it done at all now." And it was just a matter of, I couldn't stand it anymore. Just looking at it and knowing it needed to be done was just so stressful. So I figured that was my first piece of leverage.
Absolutely. Well, sometimes there's a little bit about well-being, about getting your house in order, right? I totally get that. And I think that when you are able to, and for most agents, I think the organizational model is really daunting, and they're like, well, I'm not ready to have someone else in my world. And I know that anyone that touches your business is in your organization, but yet we think that it has to be, the first piece has to be that, you know, I'm going to be spending big bouts of money and having someone in my business. And you can do some things, and that having that housekeeper at home was kind of the first thing of going out and getting some leverage in your world. And you're like, okay, yeah, this made life better. And that wasn't so hard. Some of it, I think, is mindset as well. I think when I talk to agents, the first piece of hiring an administrative assistant is the hardest. It's the hardest of all of it, because it's ripping the Band-Aid off. It feels like you're flying off a cliff, right? And it doesn't have to be that way.
And it's not just the money. It's the fact that you've got to deal now with employee taxes, and you've got to deal with different things with the IRS, and all of that other overhead.
That's true. There are some ways, though, to get some leverage without having employee taxes in the beginning, right? Do some of you have contract to close? You have transaction coordinators that are independent contractors that you pay at closing?
There's that, and there's also the virtual assistants that are not employees.
Right. And if you guys, Ron King has a virtual assistant connection for you if you're interested in what that looks like and how much that costs. I know my MAPS coach has a virtual assistant. So cyberbackers, and there's several others out there that you can explore as you start getting into that and experiencing some more time so you can do your business. First of all, if you're not enjoying business, maybe that's what's going on. I like on this page, it says when you're not having fun anymore or you're feeling overwhelmed. Those are two indicators that you may need to search for the next thing. So the organizational model talks about people, systems, and tools, right, to get started. So when you're doing all that you can do, hire administrative help. And it'll actually, I think that when you get started with that, it may make you feel like your business is slowing down because you're having to focus on the training pieces to that and getting someone up and running. So I like on page 160, it's got the pros and the cons, deciding if you're going to have an administrative assistant that is licensed or unlicensed and what that looks like. At the bottom of the page, you'll see the pros and the cons of hiring a licensed assistant. It doesn't say of hiring an assistant, it says licensed assistant. So there's a little bit of a difference there. I think sometimes so when you have someone that's licensed, they can help you do some of the extra things. They can speak real estate with you. They can do some of those tasks. And a lot of times, I think sometimes I see that someone that wants to get their real estate license might also have that growth mindset of they want to do sales. They have that within them and they have that in their personality. And the step is I'll be an admin a little bit so I can learn the lay of the land. But my heart really wants to grow up from that. So you might have someone in your world that is taking that responsibility, but you have bigger plans for them to step into something else later. So I highlighted on page 160, I've learned my lesson hiring a person specifically administrative help comes before the full development of systems and tools. What I thought was interesting is that I've heard, if you think you might have to have everything perfect in the world, the person that you hire is hopefully the right person, the right fit that does that for you, that can see the big picture and fleshes that out for you. What do you guys think about that? Do you think that would be easy to find?
I sometimes think that most real estate agents are the high I, high D. And I don't have any I at all, hardly. And I have a lot of C. So I think for me, it might be a little different because I'm very systems oriented. But the other thing is too, I can also get down in the weeds and it never, gets to the point where I'm happy with it.
I think that's true for a lot of people, Janet, because we all want to look good and be right. So, and when we want that to be, high standards, those types of things, we can focus too long on that. And having someone to take that off your plate, will help you get back to the lead gen part that especially if there's nothing wrong with not having a lot of I, because we all make the world go round. And even other discs could get in the weeds. We all have our challenges when it comes to that. I think, one of the things most real estate agents try to put multiple systems in place by themselves, right? And they try to create things that are complicated, and then they get frustrated and they're like, well, these are, they're not really good systems, or there's no systems at all. So I think we try our best, and then a lot of times we get frustrated with it. Maybe you're in the weeds too long with it, and it still continues to have to be tweaked and made perfect, right? So on page 161, it talks about hiring talent. So hiring an admin, but then hiring not just anybody, hiring talent, the first hire. I know a lot of times agents will be out in the world and they're like, I need help. My best friend's daughter needs a job. That's perfect, right? And that's really not. There might be someone in the world that worked out for, but most of the time that's a disappointment because you're not taking the time to look to see if they're a fit to the criteria that you set up. And I had circled and highlighted that, the guide for hiring decision is striving for talent and that you need to set up the criteria that you're looking for. So it's about the criteria. Do you fit the criteria or not? Not, are you good or bad? It takes the good or bad people judgment away. And it just like, you're not a match, you're not a fit for what I'm looking for. You've got 1, 2, and 3, but I needed 10. And so because there's only 3 out of 10, that's not a great fit right now, but it's not means that they're not a good person. So I like having that mindset shift on that piece, and that hiring someone that's talented and true fit will take you farther. And what does talent mean? I like what it says that talent is and talent is not. Talent pushes to get answers. Non-talent will have to be pushed, right, to want answers. There's that sense of urgency or that desire that's missing. Talent shares your goals and fulfills your needs as a natural byproduct of fulfilling their own. So that is that blend together, right? We match, you're a fit, and that works hand in hand. Talent knows what it wants or is actively searching to know, and non-talent doesn't know what it wants and isn't searching. So have you ever had any of these experiences in real estate or outside of real estate where you saw those talent, non-talent things show up, just like this is describing?
I have. I had several assistants through my outdesk over the years. And at one time I went through 3 before I got one that was halfway talent. But the nice thing is it wasn't a hire, so it wasn't like firing somebody and having to go through all of that process because they took care of it. So it was a good learning experience and one that was pretty low risk for me.
I think that when you look at the 30, 60, 90 and going through, Keller Williams has a course called Career Visioning. And if you went through Business Planning Clinic, you had much higher level and deeper dive into this content than this 30-minute Zoom in terms of hiring people and what that looks like. But career visioning is an excellent thing to go through, and talking about setting yourself up for only having a 90-day risk window of when you're hiring somebody, and they have 30 days at a time to hit remember the criteria we just talked about, to see that criteria is met. So I like that idea. And Outdesk probably helped you with that too, is that temporary temp service. I noticed that when you do a cyberbacker or a virtual assistant experience, they also put you through a process of letting you vet the ones that you're going to be in business with and see if those are a match. And they're typically already trained for criteria that what you would want for them to be into the systems and things that you're already probably using. Very nice, Janet, that you saw that. And it took you 3. It was kind of like the lollipop, 3 strikes and you got to the center, right? I like talent pushes you constantly, but non-talent requires you to push it. It's like pushing a rope, right? And then talent is continually raising the bar and wants to be associated with talent. They'll appreciate you having the accountability piece to it. And non-talent doesn't even know there's a bar. So I thought that was funny. Or what you're even talking about. Please just let me show up and do 1, 2, 3, and I'm out. So you'll know the difference. And especially if you've probably already experienced, talent stands out. And you have to pay talent. You're not going to get a cheap experience. You're not going to be able to pay them the least amount of money to get the biggest return, right? Because you're going to have to pay someone for you to have that. And it's so worth it in the end because they're going to bring you more production. So it's a mindset. How much can I afford to pay them so I can keep them as long as possible is the mantra. So if you don't pay, it will cost you opportunities. So on page 163, it shows you the cost of a bad hire and then the cost of a great hire and what that looks like. So if you're out there watching, turn to your page 163 to see what that looks like, because it costs you so much more to fly by the seat of your pants and choose your cousin's best friend's uncle's whatever that needs a job in the long run, even though maybe you just give them some money to help them out for the month and not hire them. So, all All right, so on page 164, it says to train and consult. So you're going to have help, that's people. You're going to hire the talent, and then you're going to have to train and consult them. So I mentioned career visioning. A lot of times agents will hire someone and they're like, I noticed that they call it the seagull management, right? They do very little training or not at all. And then they just swoop in, make a lot of noise, dump on people and fly away. So because we're busy, right? We want you to just go ahead. I've told you one time, can't you just learn this? I'm going to leave you now, and you need to make my world better. And I'm going to swoop in, dump on you, throw it up on you, and leave. And so that doesn't usually keep people in your world very long, because a lot of times the folks that you're hiring, they are going to be an S on the DISC profile and have some C, and the S's enjoy steadiness. They don't like chaos, and they want systems. So you have to set them up and show them why the systems are the systems at first before you can fly away. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to have everything 150% amazing for them. You're going to have some skeleton for them, right? And talent will take what you did and say, have you thought about that you could do it better this way and more efficiently? That's where the talent shows up. They take what you give them and they make it better, but you have to give them something. You have to give them a 30, 60, 90 of what you expect their criteria to be. Any comments on that?
I like where it says that talent doesn't need to be micromanaged.
Yes. They don't like being micromanaged. You start that and and that's part of taking back stuff too. I think when we are drivers of our business, we like to control things. And we do have to manage what we expect, right? You have to give some people some growth freedom and empower them. And that's that training and consulting, Adrienne. I think you're absolutely right. And maybe even, letting them have, and I'm going to mention 2 goal setting and accountability forms. One's a GPS, goals, priority, and strategies on what you're trying to accomplish. And the other is a 411. And that just means you take everything that you're trying to do in the year and you chunk it down to action items for the month and for the week. So having a weekly meeting with people that are in your organization, whatever they are, remember that organization are people that touch your business, whatever that looks like, to have accountability of how things are going, how they're doing, what do they need from you, and have some training and consulting around that accountability. And then don't over micromanage that, like Adrienne was saying, because people that are talented don't like that. They'll make it happen. So on page 166, there are 10 principles for empowering people. And if you are a leader in your organization, you might want to do some growth for yourself in 2023 on how to be a leader of your organization with some leadership skills and coaching and consulting somebody in your world. So the 10 principles for empowering people: tell people what their responsibilities are and get agreement, their acknowledgement of that's what it is. Give them authority equal to their assigned responsibilities. Set standards of excellence and guidelines. Provide initial and ongoing training that will enable them to meet standards, that's skills and knowledge. Hold them accountable and define the consequences. Provide them weekly feedback on their performance. Recognize them for their achievements. Praise in public, correct in private. Right? Remember, that's very important. No one likes to be called out in a group about what they're doing wrong. Trust them, allow them to grow into self-leadership, and talent will, and give them permission to fail. That takes a little bit of pressure off, doesn't it? And treat them with dignity and respect. So those are great leadership skills for you to have growing your organization. And not thinking about training and consulting as confrontation, right? I don't love confrontation. Some people do, I don't. But thinking of it as carefrontation, I thought that was a clever way to look at that. Is I care about you, so we're going to have this conversation, so we'll both improve, and I want you to be your very best and have some growth in your world. So here's a great consultative interview. If you've got people in your world, in your organization, what was your goal? How did you do? Based on how you did, what is your goal and what do you need to do now? So fill in the gaps. And is there anything that might help keep you from doing that? I think that's a really strong question. We could use that about our lead generation, right? Is there anything that might keep you from doing that? So it lists all the reasons, so we can go ahead and discuss those and take those off the table. If you need training or support to do this, what might that look like? If you think you need to be better at something, where do you need to fill that gap? I love those two questions just for anyone, even for myself. So accountability is a really huge thing that can be done as care. So what do you guys think about that? Do you thought those were some good guidelines to set up for your organizational model of things that you need to do as you get started growing your business or continuing your business wherever you are right now?
I think it definitely sets a mindset for how you would start the process. For me, I don't have any employees, but considering who I would hire and what to think about and how to talk to them, because how I talk to them will trickle down how they talk to our clients and our customers. So yeah, I like it. And I like how the carefrontation, because I think when our mindset is right, we're going to treat them as we would want to be treated. And I think that's what's wrong with a lot of corporate America, is that a lot of what we're talking about, how to talk to our employees, we didn't get that. So maybe some of us left corporate America because of those things. If we had been treated with more care, would some of us have been better or happier in a corporate world?
That's true.
I totally
think that's a
agree with
great
that,
point.
because the first time I ever saw this, I thought, boy, this is so different from your performance appraisal that you got at work. You know, it was always the negative, 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 and never
Or,
any solution.
and the seagull, here's your job. I'll train you, which they need to do when you start a new position, but then they're gone. So that's what they did. So knowing that I didn't like being treated like that, I don't want to treat somebody else like that, because then that's setting them, do we want to set them up for failure or success? And to me, this is setting them up for success.
Absolutely. I love that. I had a coach one time that his disc personality was very task oriented and not people oriented. So he was very blunt and just delivered the news, right? And so he told me one time that he had to really work at making conversations a love sandwich. So, good, this is great. Here's here's the carefrontation, and here's love. So I thought that was a great way to look at his system on, I can't just walk in and be a bull in a china shop and, heads are going to roll. So whatever the situation was, he was able to look at it that way. So I think that when we talked about the people first and how we set that up, we know we need help. We have to find talent, and then we have to train and consult them. There's that system to do that with that career visioning. The KPA is part of that. The Keller Personality Assessment helps you get to know people and how their natural behavior might be and how they think and how that would perform. And so I think we're going to, because we read all of the pages that I told you, but I believe that we're going to go ahead next week and pick up with the 2 Ds of your organization, because it really talks about the people drive and the systems and tool drive as we move forward. And then we'll move into the MREA models for the economic model. Do you guys have any questions so far? Well,
I like what it says on page 169 about how to think about the organizational model. Talent to shine, systems to define, train and consult to refine.
I love that. Talent to shine, systems to define, and train and consult to refine. So next week, I'm going to bring in a 30, 60, 90, what that means, how to think about that on the organizational model, the updated MREA 2 with the levels of where you start, and we'll continue to talk about the drive of your organization. You guys, it was fun hanging out with you, and I work at trying to keep us at 30 minutes. We're 1 minute over, And
Thanks for coming in on your day off, Sally.
oh, it was fun. I just don't want us to get behind. There's so many other things to explore once we get through with the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. And I believe that we've got to get back. Everyone needs to get back. Keller Williams agents should never say, "What's the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book?"
Yeah, I
I've
agree.
never read that. Okay.
Mhm.
That's my mission, is that is not going to be what's happening. So guys, have a wonderful Monday, and 2023, we are going to shine like stars. And I look forward to seeing you soon tomorrow
All right.
here in the office.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Thanks.